Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the shadowy corners of the United States, where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. In this fifth episode of Most Haunted Abandoned Places in the U.S., we delve deeper into the forgotten relics of a bygone era, places where time has stood still, yet the spirits of the past refuse to fade. From decaying asylums steeped in madness to crumbling theaters frozen mid-performance, these abandoned sites are more than just ruins. They are vessels carrying the echoes of lives lived and lost, whispering their tragic tales through creaking floorboards, flickering lights, and disembodied voices. Abandoned places hold a unique kind of magic, or perhaps malice, that captivates us. They are liminal spaces, caught between worlds, where the boundary between the living and the dead blurs. These locations bear witness to events too painful, too violent, or too mysterious to be forgotten. Each empty room, each broken window, and each overgrown hallway serves as a canvas for ghostly artistry, painted with sorrow, betrayal, and unrelenting despair. Whether you're drawn by morbid curiosity or an insatiable thirst for the supernatural, these destinations promise encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted abandoned places across the country, sites steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of deserted hospitals, explore eerie prisons cloaked in darkness, and tread cautiously through ghost towns teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of America's abandoned places, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. The Waverly Hills Sanatorium, a looming monument to despair perched atop a hill overlooking Louisville, Kentucky, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium stands as one of the most infamous abandoned places in the United States, a grim relic of humanity's battle against tuberculosis during the early 20th century. Built in 1926, the sprawling five-story structure was designed to house thousands of patients suffering from the highly contagious disease. At its peak, Waverly Hills treated upwards of 400 patients at a time, offering cutting-edge treatments like heliotherapy, sunlight exposure, and pneumothorax procedures, collapsing infected lungs. Yet, despite its noble intentions, the sanatorium quickly became synonymous with suffering, death, and unspeakable horrors, both medical and metaphysical. One of the most enduring legends tied to Waverly Hills is the so-called body chute, a narrow tunnel stretching nearly half a mile from the hospital to the base of the hill. Constructed to discreetly remove deceased patients without alarming those still clinging to hope, the chute earned a sinister reputation as a conduit for tragedy. According to local lore, bodies were stacked like cordwood inside the tunnel, left to rot until they could be transported away. Visitors today report hearing faint dragging sounds emanating from the depths of the chute, accompanied by the unmistakable stench of decay. Some claim to see shadowy figures hauling invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural, as though reliving the grim task of transporting the dead. Another prominent figure in the sanatorium's haunted lore is believed to be Mary Walker, a nurse who worked tirelessly within its walls before taking her own life in room 502. Historical records suggest that Mary suffered from mental illness exacerbated by the stress of caring for dying patients. Her spirit is said to haunt the upper floors, particularly room 502, where guests recount seeing a woman in a white dress standing near the windows, gazing wistfully outward. Others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them as they approached the room, accompanied by sudden drops in temperature. One particularly chilling account involves a visitor who swore he felt icy fingers brush against his neck, followed by a soft whisper saying, "Help me!" The sanatorium's basement, once used for storage and morgue operations, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the grounds often describe hearing muffled cries and the sound of footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a maintenance worker who swore he saw a young boy playing with marbles in the corner of the room, only for the child to disappear when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been a victim of illness or accident during the sanatorium's operational years, forever trapped in the confines of its lower levels. Modern-day investigations into Waverly Hills' supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the main hallways and the body chute. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to original staff members. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "I'm sorry," and "Let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Waverly Hills continues to draw visitors eager to immerse themselves in its storied past. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the sacrifices made in pursuit of healing. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, Waverly Hills offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, madness frozen in time nestled in the mist-shrouded hills of Weston, West Virginia, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum looms like a monolith of madness. A sprawling Gothic revival structure that housed thousands of mentally ill patients between 1864 and 1994. Originally intended as a sanctuary for those deemed insane, the asylum quickly devolved into a nightmarish institution where overcrowding, neglect, and inhumane treatments turned its corridors into halls of despair. With its labyrinthine layout, towering ceilings, and imposing stone facade, the asylum remains one of the most haunted abandoned places in the United States, a place where the screams of the past echo louder than any words spoken today. One of the most pervasive legends tied to the asylum revolves around the violent treatment methods employed within its walls. Electroshock therapy, lobotomies, and ice baths were common practices, leaving many patients permanently scarred, both physically and psychologically. Witnesses claimed to hear phantom screams reverberating through the empty wards, accompanied by the rhythmic clanging of metal doors slamming shut. Some visitors described seeing shadowy figures writhing in agony, their faces twisted in eternal anguish. Others report encountering apparitions of doctors in lab coats, pacing anxiously as though searching for instruments long since rusted away. Another haunting figure associated with the asylum is believed to be Ruth, a patient who died under mysterious circumstances in Ward 3. According to historical accounts, Ruth was prone to violent outbursts and was often subjected to extreme forms of punishment, including solitary confinement. Her ghost is said to haunt the third floor, where she appears as a gaunt woman in tattered clothing, clutching her head and sobbing uncontrollably. Guests exploring the area have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Some claim to hear disembodied voices calling out names unfamiliar to modern ears, believed to be the voices of patients locked away without proper care. The asylum's underground tunnels, once used for transporting supplies and isolating unruly patients, have also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Investigators exploring these subterranean passages describe hearing faint whispers and the sound of shuffling feet, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a team member who swore he saw a young girl playing with dolls in the corner of the room, only for the child to disappear when approached. Theories abound that the girl may have been a victim of abuse or neglect during the asylum's operational years, forever trapped in the confines of its lower levels. Modern-day investigations into the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum's supernatural claims have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the operating rooms and the morgue. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing motionless at the end of a hallway, its hands raised as if begging for mercy. These findings have solidified the site's reputation as one of the most active haunted locations in the country. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the systemic failures that led to such widespread suffering. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting architecture or the weight of its tragic legacy, the asylum offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. The old Joliet Prison, shadows of incarceration in the heartland of Illinois, surrounded by the industrial hum of factories and freight trains, lies the old Joliet Prison, a foreboding fortress of punishment and despair that operated from 1858 to 2002. Known for its limestone walls and iconic Gothic Revival design, the prison earned a notorious reputation not only for its harsh conditions but also for housing some of the state's most dangerous criminals. Over its 144-year history, the penitentiary bore witness to countless acts of violence, rebellion, and tragedy, leaving behind a legacy steeped in bloodshed and unresolved grief. Today, its abandoned cells, crumbling courtyards, and rusted iron bars stand as silent sentinels to the horrors endured by those who once called it home. One of the most infamous incidents tied to the old Joliet prison occurred in 1921, when 6 inmates were executed via hanging after being convicted of murder. Their deaths marked the beginning of a dark chapter in the facility's history, as capital punishment became a recurring theme within its walls. Visitors exploring the gallows area report hearing faint choking sounds and the creaking of rope fibers, as though the executions continued to play out in an endless loop. Some claim to see shadowy figures dangling from invisible nooses, their expressions frozen in eternal anguish. Others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them as they approach the site, accompanied by sudden drops in temperature. Another haunting figure associated with the prison is believed to be James Clark, a former inmate who died during a failed escape attempt in the 1950s. According to historical accounts, Clark attempted to scale the prison walls using makeshift tools, only to fall to his death when guards opened fire. His ghost is said to haunt cell block B, where he appears as a man in tattered prison garb, pacing anxiously as though plotting another escape. Guests exploring the area have reported hearing faint whispers urging them to run or hide, accompanied by the sound of hurried footsteps echoing through the empty corridors. Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Some claim to feel cold hands gripping their shoulders, pulling them backward toward the darkness. The prison's solitary confinement wing, known as the Hole, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Investigators exploring these isolated cells describe hearing muffled screams and the sound of fists pounding against steel doors, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a maintenance worker who swore he saw a young boy curled up in the corner of a cell, rocking back and forth as though trying to comfort himself. Theories abound that the boy may have been a juvenile offender sentenced to adult facilities, forever trapped in the confines of his isolation. Modern-day investigations into the old Joliet prison's supernatural claims have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the gallows and the solitary confinement wing. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing motionless at the end of a hallway, its hands raised as if begging for mercy. These findings have solidified the site's reputation as one of the most active haunted locations in the Midwest. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, the old Joliet prison continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the systemic failures that led to such widespread suffering. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting architecture or the weight of its tragic legacy, the prison offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. the Stanley Hotel, elegance entangled with the supernatural perched majestically atop the hills of Estes Park, Colorado. The Stanley Hotel exudes an air of refined elegance that belies its turbulent history. Established in 1909, this grand establishment was originally envisioned as a sanctuary for the elite, offering breathtaking views of the Rocky Mountains and luxurious accommodations fit for royalty. With its sweeping verandas, crystal chandeliers, and meticulously manicured gardens, the Stanley quickly became a beacon of sophistication and exclusivity. However, beneath its polished veneer lay a darker narrative, one marked by scandal, heartbreak, and unexplained phenomena that would cement its status as one of the most haunted abandoned places in the United States. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Stanley Hotel revolves around Room 217, said to be haunted by the spirit of Elizabeth Wilson, a former housekeeper who met a tragic end. During a storm in 1911, a gas leak caused an explosion in the room, severely injuring Elizabeth. Though she survived, her presence is said to linger in the space, manifesting as gentle taps on walls or doors, rearranged furniture, and the faint scent of roses lingering in the air. Guests staying in room 217 frequently report strange occurrences: lights turning on and off by themselves, radios tuning to static-filled stations, and the overwhelming sensation of being watched. Some claim to wake up to find their bedsheets neatly made themselves, as if Elizabeth were tidying up after them. Another prominent figure in the hotel's haunted lore is believed to be Lord Dunraven, the Irish nobleman who originally owned the land upon which the Stanley was built. Paranormal investigators exploring the inn have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "retreat," and "hold the line." Witnesses described seeing a shadowy figure resembling Dunraven pacing anxiously near windows, clutching what appears to be a cane before vanishing without a trace. The hotel's ballroom, once the site of lavish galas and high society gatherings, has also become a focal point of paranormal activity. Visitors attending events in the space often describe feeling an inexplicable chill, even amidst the warmth of celebration. Musicians performing on stage have reported hearing discordant notes played on phantom instruments, disrupting their melodies mid-performance. On more than one occasion, attendees have sworn they saw couples dancing gracefully across the floor, only to realize there was no music playing and no visible source of illumination casting their silhouettes. Modern-day investigations into the Stanley's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including room 217 and the ballroom. Electromagnetic field, EMF, meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to the original owners. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "I'm sorry," and "let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Stanley Hotel remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its rich tapestry of human drama, interwoven with tragedy and loss, creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For those brave enough to book a stay, the possibility of encountering Elizabeth Wilson, Lord Dunraven, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor crosses its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the darkness that lingers within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the hotel's tragic tale. As we traverse the haunted landscapes of America, from the opulent halls of the Stanley Hotel to the somber grounds of the old Joliet prison, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing wards of hospitals to the shadowed basements of monuments, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments, or the betrayed trust of patients subjected to inhumane treatments, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or wards where patients met tragic ends. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal medical practices embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere buildings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted places captivate us? What is it about haunted places that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or where justice was denied, leaving wounds that refuse to heal. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. At the core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted places exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, health and illness, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted places contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Long, sterile hallways lined with identical doors create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant cough, the hum of fluorescent lights, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older structures, with their hidden wings and underground tunnels, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight or flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted places. Media representations, from films like The Shining to television series such as American Horror Story, have cemented the trope of the haunted asylum, courthouse, or battlefield as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about institutional power, systemic injustice, and the fragility of the human mind. Haunted places become microcosms of larger fears: the loss of agency, the misuse of authority, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted places appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted places attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. Ultimately, the enduring allure of haunted places lies in their ability to mirror our deepest fears while challenging our understanding of reality. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, that pain and injustice leave indelible marks on both people and places. As we walk their haunted halls, we are forced to confront not only the spirits said to inhabit them but also the ghosts within ourselves, the regrets, doubts, and unanswered questions that linger long after the wounds have healed. In doing so, we find a strange comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears, that others have walked these same paths and emerged, shaken but alive, to tell their stories. As we bring this chilling journey through America's most haunted abandoned places to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of America's haunted abandoned places yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam, stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken institutions offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.